and then we're losing information for you guys. So if you are on an 18 to 19, they suggest that you uh, either flat or steep from 200 to 300 microns, just because you are farther away from the limbus, so you know you are more toric uh, as far as you are from the limbus, right? So that's why you need to increase the amount of change that you are doing on the haptics. So that's the recommendation that the lab gives the practitioners when they train them. Um, However, this is not set on stone, and they don't say like this is the most that you can do. You can actually change what you feel for you need to. You can go 400, you can go 500. I actually saw an account Stephen 500 on a haptic, and I actually called him and said like, are you okay with changing 500? Are you steepening 500 microns on that portion of the sclera? And he said like, yeah, I need to actually close down that part of the sclera. Are you sure? Yes. Okay. So you can actually go that far. And he was doing a 19 diameter. So again, because you are going bigger, you need to actually account that. Because if you do a 19 and you're changing just 100 microns, probably so you're eating just the plastic and you're not making any sufficient change to that eye. So again, make changes that will make a difference on your patient. Don't make changes that eventually won't do anything, and you are just gonna be eating and eating the plastic and just making remakes and remakes. So, for instance, I have seen a lot of changes where they just change 50 microns. 50 microns doesn't do much, and I know you have done other brands of scleral lenses where they say 50 microns is more than sufficient. Yes, for other designs, probably so. 50 microns is enough. But for Boston site, 50 microns eventually is not that enough. Okay. So with that being said, I don't know, maybe we should do the FitConnect. And I'm gonna share my screen right now. And then I'm gonna start with FitConnect and just how to process the orders and how to manage these things on FitConnect. So this is basically what you are seeing. This is your dashboard. Um, I'm just gonna log out and then I'm just gonna get in. So basically, what you will do is just email address and your password. Then you're just gonna get in. This is what you will see on your front page, right? Uh, you will have these tabs where you can start an order, you can register a patient, run a report on your orders. You have home, patients, orders, and support for scleral lenses. On patients, you can actually see all of your patients. How many patients do you have? And from here, you can actually search for your patients or register a patient. On orders, you will see all of your orders and the tracking numbers of your orders. You can actually follow where that orders actually on, if that order has gone into the Atlanta office. Um, so let's go back to home. So if you want to start an order, you can actually go in here, select the patient, and then you will actually start an order for that a specific patient. But if you're starting a new order, so we need to register that patient. And if we're starting a new order, We're gonna register our patient, and we have those mandatory. We we have those. Sorry for that. Sorry, going back. We have those mandatory fields. We have the first name. We have the last name. We have the CRN, which is the customer record. This is basically based on you. What is the customer record that you have for your patient? You can actually translate this, or if you're doing the customer record based on your FitConnect. So you can actually enter all this information below, or you can leave it as it is, just blank. But these three are required fields. Okay. Then you will click on save, and this will register your patient. So I'm just not registering any patient because this is like I said, it's my account. But then we're gonna use my name. So I'm gonna go back to home. So again, in recent orders, you have what recent orders you have placed, and here's the order status of those orders. So for instance, in this particular case, I have done a replacement spare for this patient, and in the order status states that is completed. This is a new fit for this patient and it's completed, and so on and so forth. This one has been shipped for these patients, and I can just verify if I go in here. Uh, what I'm seeing in this one is the order number, the order date, what is actually the type of order. This one is a fit exchange. This is a new fit. The eye that I'm feeding, they're right or left. This one in here, this one usually gets people confused. This is just the number of the lens that I'm ordering for that patient. This is not the quantity. This is just the number of the lens that I'm ordering for that specific patient. This could either be because the patient broke the lens. This could be just because it's just a feed exchange, whatever the reason, right? So, and then I have here patients in feeding process, which is the ones that are already shipped, because the other one is just again in their order started is just completed. Pending orders are the ones that I can upload and just leave it on pending because the patient hasn't paid, but I wanted to leave them on pending until the patient paid me, and I can actually just release the orders into production. Okay. I can do that, and I will show you how to. So if I want to start an order, like I was mentioning before, I can actually just go in here and I will use my name as I was mentioning. So I will search my name and I'm here. So I have two ways to do an order. I have FitKit diagnostic way and Smart 360. And this is for the people that have a CSP or an ESP. I can actually order um, this way. Or if I have the FitKit diagnostic sets, I will do it this way. So if I hit FitKit diagnostic, I can select either the right eye or the left eye. Let's do the right eye. So since I do have both FitKits, I do have the 1617 and the 1819. I will select either one of them. Let's do the 16 to 17. And then they will populate all these lenses that you see on your fit kit, right? So you have all the lenses that you have on the fit kit. As you remember, these one are not actually intended for fitting. However, people use them for fitting. They are only intended for refractive purposes. Again, people do use them for fitting purposes as well. So let's do, and let's select one of these lenses. We do have the standard, the flat, the steep. We can just select one of them. And we do have the extra SAC values that alters 400 microns from within the diameters that we have in these ones. So 2.8, 3.2, right? So let's use the 5E1, which is the standard one that we almost always use. So let's use this one, and then we will have the new fit, right? So we're using the new fit. We select it. So let's hit on continue. And as you can see, we do have this tab in here, which is actually giving me all the information, and it's telling me, okay, you're selecting the scleral fit kit 1617, the parent lens that you're using, the 5E1, the diameter is the 16.5, and the order type is a fit because it's a new fit. So let's continue. So in here, we're gonna just do the refractive or calculate the optics. So it's telling me in this position that what's the power of the actual trial lens that I'm using. So it's telling me, because we know that the trial lenses have an spherical power of 0.25. So I'm doing my vertex power, and in this case, let's say we just have a -1. Oh, let's just place -1 in this one. I always, even if I'm doing just a spherical power, will encourage you to always place the dot position. So let's say we have 90. Place the dot position. If you want to, please hit calculate always to calculate. Then you have the properties. You can actually change the front surface eccentricity. You can actually change it to FSE0, which is for more regular corneas. The front surface eccentricity 2 is for more prolate corneas. Uh, and the E1 is the more standard irregular corneas. So this was really based on an 8,000 or more. I don't remember really well. I think 8,000 more patients based on the studies. And the E1 is the more common one, front surface eccentricity. But you can either change it to FSE2 or FSE0 as you see fit. So let's leave it at FSE1. So then we have the materials that we have available. The higher decay that we have is Optimum Infinite. Um, we have different colors in XO2 and Extreme. So let's leave it with XO2. So either we want HydraPeg or not, and if we want clear dots or black dots. If we want clear dots, what you will most likely see is a gray dot. It's most likely a gray dot that you will see. And it's kind of clear. You most likely won't see it, but yeah, it's kind of like a gray dot. But let's leave it as a gray dot. If you want to order a smart focus lens, what you need to add is the add power, and you need to add the mesopic pupil. You don't need to add the photopic nor the escotopic pupil. You need to add the mesopic pupil, which range between 4 up to 6 accordingly. But you need to measure really well and place the mesopic pupil. That's it. You only need to do that, and that's it. Just calculate and save, and then you will be done. Okay. So after you have done this, you just click on continue, and then we enter and do our fit modifications. And this is where sometimes, as Dr. Vila was saying, we need to change our limbal clearance and see, depending on our HBAD, what we are most likely need to be done on changing. If we fit at 16, then probably most likely we have either an 11.2, 11.3. that's probably what I would most likely be fitting if I do have that a type of HPAD. I will be most likely covered. I wouldn't do any changes on this on limbo clearance because I probably saw that I will be done with the limbo area. However, if I'm doing like hyperolic cornea, probably I wouldn't do a 16. Probably I'll be doing like a 16.5 or a 17. So again, I have to measure the limbo area, and I probably would adjust the limbo clearance accordingly. But yeah, we do have those changes. And what those changes actually mean is wide one usually or typically change 150 microns from uh, the height. If I narrow one, I'm losing 150 microns. Curiously enough, Y2 only changes 50 microns more. So I'm just changing 200 microns. And again, narrow 2, again, I'm just losing 50 microns more. So I'm losing 200 microns. So this is what Karen Carrasquillo actually told us. She's the designer of this lens. So this is actually the changes that I'm actually getting from changing the limbo clearance with these steps. So again, you can actually verify how much I'm actually changing by looking in here. So again, you can actually increase the area. So let's say I'm looking here and I'm widening the area. If I'm getting 12 millimeters, so I'm raising that area on to 6.8 maybe. So I'm widening that area. I'm increasing that area up to 6.8. So again, sorry, let me just close this one. Sorry. I don't know what happened here. So I'm increasing that area or widen that area like zero point 0.5, point 0.8. So I'm extending that effective chord by zero point 0.8. And if I'm doing that all around, again, I'm going a little bit more in this area. I can just verify it. Just remember, if I'm pointing my dot at 90, so that area is the nasal part because I'm doing OD. So that area is extending to the side. So I'm just widening, right? So again, you can actually verify that this way the quadrants. So this is very crucial, and this way you can actually verify how much you're extending those areas. Haptics, you if you go plus, remember you are making that area lift or flatten. If you go minus, you are making that area close or steepen or steepen. So you are closing that area. So let's see here. You can actually go in this position and you can close that area. Again, look at the red line because this is the one that is actually making the change. Again, whenever what we have seen in the meetings with Boston site is sometimes the profiles doesn't make sense because we have seen sometimes a Y2, for instance, with a minus 200. So sometimes the profile looks a little bit weirder because it goes like really wide in here and close in here. So it kind of looks like a little bit funky. So because sometimes again this goes in here and it doesn't mean that it can be done, but it has to be kind of make a little bit of sense with those changes. So we need to address those changes and make the changes accordingly. Because if we see these change as well with the SAG, so we need to actually make it soft on the profile so that your patient doesn't feel that change and doesn't crash down on the eye. And for that reason, this is very useful having those graphs so that you can actually see what you're actually doing. So I just love this having this on hand and actually just doing those changes uh, for you. Again, with the base curve, you can actually do changes, and if you flatten the base curve, you are actually lifting the area on the mid periphery. So let's say you are changing and going from an 8 to a 9, you are actually raising 180 microns. So you this area in here will actually lift. So if you are doing a steep, again, and here's one thing, and you probably know but this. I will just make a remark on this. Changing the base curve will alter the power, and you can see the power changing in here. So again, by doing so, I'm gonna change now the power from minus, this is changing actually minus 250 microns. And the power has changed now to a minus 6.75. So these changes do actually affect the power. Changing the sag or the center, this doesn't affect the power of the lens. Doing quad elevation, this is actually done by selecting where I do want to specifically change the base curve. So I can just alter, for instance, I do have a PKP patient, right? And I do want just to lift a specific area of that graft. So let's say I do want to lift the superior part. So let's say I do want to raise a little bit on the superior part, and I do want to change and affect 252 microns on that area because I do want to pass pass that area. So I want to change only that area. Everything else stays the same. However, on that meridian, that power is going to change. This algorithm has been tested, and this algorithm has been tested so well that everything, even the visual acuity for your patient, is going to remain the same, but that area has different power. So don't you worry that the visual acuity will remain the same. We don't encourage to do as many changes on quad elevation and go crazy like, oh, I'm gonna do this and that and doing so much or many changes. Uh, but there's the possibility to do so. Um, just so you know, uh, it has been tested and it works. So, but again, you have the possibility to do it. However, maintain as less changes as you can. This is, I've always said that less changes makes it better because less changes means that you have selected the best trial lens from the set, and this will actually make more sense for your patients. Smart channels are, uh, there's two options for smart channels: to reduce suctions or to bolt anatomical obstacles, right? If you want to reduce suctions, there's two smart channels that are going to populate automatically, and it's going to be at 3 and 9, 20 degrees, 150 microns of depth. I'm going to see the questions and answers in a second after I explain the smart channels, and I will answer the Q&A. So if you just click on reduce suctions, again, it's going to populate two smart channels, again, 20 degrees, 150 microns in depth. As you can see here, 3 and 9. The dot location is already filled. So this is automatically. What this helps is the channels actually doesn't go to the very edge. they just remain at, I think it's zero point 0.5 within the edge, and they promote tear exchange and they reduce the suction. So that, for instance, for those PKP patients that we want to treat the cornea as soft as we can, and we want to avoid suction, so those patients benefit from it, and they get actually tear exchange or more tear exchange. So we provide more oxygen. So these patients benefit. So I do probably say, like, for these patients, these channels really help. But we do have those channels that are for both anatomical obstacles. So if we want to select these channels, what will happen is, if we click both anatomical obstacles, these lenses, this order, will automatically go under review, because we need to verify what you're asking for. So this, because these channels will, what most likely will do is that will need to be verified what's the purpose, because we don't have an actual box here that says this channel is for apinguecula, right? So let's say we want one channel for suction, and we want this one for both in apinguecula, right? So let's get rid of the one from 350 to 10, because this one is nasal. So let's do this one. So let's say this one is from 20 degrees, 20 degrees to 340. So let's say this one is 0 0.2. No, 0. The recommendation of Boston side is, if you're bolting an anatomical obstacle, probably so you need to actually, I'm doing a mess here. So probably you need to channel most values. I'm making a mess. I'm making a mess. So probably Boston would recommend going 300 microns in depth when you're bolting an anatomical obstacle, or at least 250 microns. You can go higher. Obviously, you can go up to 400 microns. Um, Most likely, you will bolt anything with 400 microns. So let's save the changes in here, and I'm going to explain what you need to do uh, in the next page. So let's leave it there. So let's make a change in here. Let's do one change in here. And let's do narrow here and narrow here. So what will happen is that you have the limbal clearance. We have the changes done in here. We have a steepen 200, flatten 200, and we have the smart channel. So every single information of what the changes that we have done is in this page, right? So if I hit continue in this one, I have all the information for my patient. So again, as I mentioned, automatically the order is in hold for order review, and it says both anatomical obstacles. I need to add here, this channel is for pinguecula, or for whatever other reason. It's for a bleb, it's for whatever you are doing the channel for. If it is for a bleb, probably it's going to be on the superior part. But you need to actually set the reason for the channel that you're doing for an obstacle. What happens is, when we're doing a channel for an obstacle, what the Boston site team does is that the edge of that channel, as I mentioned before, the channel for the suction just stays within the lens, right? It doesn't go to the very edge. But with the channels for obstacles, what happens is that the channel actually goes to the very edge, so that the actual landing of that channel maintains the landing and doesn't actually impinge on the actual obstacle. So That's why we need to be very clear what we are trying to bolt, and we're not confusing the lab by telling it's for reducing a suction or reducing suction. Okay, so it's very important to be clear on what we're dealing with. So we have done this, and again, this is just for the first order. As you can see here, we have this the Smart Site HOA. This is for if we're doing with an barometer. For the people that have an OBITS barometer, this is where you will most likely do um, a trial lens order, and so this is where you may request. But this is after you have done the first lens fit and you have done your stable lens, and then you will actually request that lens. If you're doing the second eye, you will then do the start order for the other eye. If you want to leave that order as pending, as I was mentioning before, then you will click on save order as pending. And if you do save order as pending, what will happen is, okay, awaiting patient approval, because you're waiting for the patient to approve, prepayment required, insurance review, and other. So you need to actually leave the reason why you are actually leaving that order in pending. So what will happen is, if you don't leave the reason, or what happen if you leave that order in pending, you have 30 days. And after 30 days, if you haven't released that order, a Spectrum will actually delete that order, and then you have to place that order again. Okay. So you have 30 days after you have leave that order in pending, because we actually review those orders in pending. And after 30 days, the orders get deleted. So again, if you don't like what you have done, you can actually erase that order. You can actually review the order, what changes you have done. And if you want to go and modify, you can actually modify. So I'm just gonna go and see the questions, anonymous attendee. So the option to change the base curve is the same as changing the signal. What I don't get the SAG. Oh, the SAG. Uh no. To the changes on the base curve, I'm gonna go back here. So going back to review. So the changes on the base curve actually change just the mid periphery. So the changes on the base curve, what they do is just changing the mid periphery. So the changes will be in this position. Oh, well, you can actually just see because it's just too small of a change. So you will see the changes being done in this position, probably. So you see that the changes are in here, right? So if I go back and just get the base curve back again in here, so you will see that the changes will return again in here, right? So, but if I change the SAG, the changes will be from here to here. And let's do a combine. So now I'm gonna change the actual base curve, and I'm gonna steepen. So I'm gonna close down that base curve. So what will happen is that I'm closing that area in here, but the SAG, the actual SAG in this position remains the same. So I'm closing in here, but I'm remaining the same here. Okay. So let's say if I wanna do a reverse geometry lens, kinda, I can do a reverse geometry lens. So if I go, let's say, to a 950, and I go to a below 250, so I'm kind of like doing like, basically I'm doing like an oblate design, because I'm kind of closing the lens in this area and kind of flattening the superior part. But again, I'm just toying around in this one, right? So it doesn't actually The base curve is just affecting the mid periphery, and the sag is just affecting the central sag. Okay, so I hope that answers your question in this area. And then we have one on the chat. How can we make a lens truncation? Uh, Not sure about lens truncation in this design, to be honest, Bilal. Uh, I do have to ask. I do have to ask with the lab.
Uh,
Uh,
Sorry.
in the past, I have seen that truncation is not that great. Jeff has been very open with that. Yeah,
I
you.
received first order. My first both inside order. It was with the truncation, and it was really good
Yeah.
because it was Benguicola. Then they
But
do you remember it. I don't know if you remember it.
yeah, probably. But that was a like a bolt, like a or a notch.
No, no, it's a truncation. It's not about. It's like
Yeah, truncation.
yeah, yeah. It's a total temporal cutting from the each cutting.
But that probably it's yeah. Let me
Uh,
find out which was the name. What was
I
the name?
The name was let me wait. I have the name. Just give me just 1 minute. Yeah, it's actually in my on my first order. His name. Wait.
Jeff. I'm gonna answer that other question, Bilal. Sorry. Yeah, it's possible to do fenestration with smart channel. They have told me that they can do that, Jeff. And yeah, and in the meantime, when you while you search the name, I will just continue with another topic because we have to look at how to order remakes and replacement. Replacements are very uh, easy to order. Replacements are very. I'm gonna raise these ones. If I place the order, they're gonna charge me. So I'm just gonna take one of my uh, fits in here. So let's say I want to do this patient, right? Or let's go into this one. So um, let me see who. Oh, um, okay. So if I want to do like a replacement or an exchange, what I normally do is I have an option. So I will go into this part and I do have the option in going to fit exchange. And this will actually open to continue. I can do it because I'm basing on the previous lens, right? So this is opening based on the previous lens. So I will just go in here and I want to modify based on the previous lens. Whatever change I'm doing on the previous lens is gonna add up to what I have already done on the previous lens. So remember that if I flatten, if I've steepened, if I've done anything within that previous lens, everything will add up. If I flatten 100 microns and then I flatten 100 microns more, that's going to be a 200 microns flattening. So everything I've done before, that's adding up. If I flatten and then I'm steepening on that same quadrant, let's say I flatten 100 microns and I'm steepening 100 microns, I'm leaving that area as a standard optic. So take that into account whenever you're doing anything. And by doing that, you can actually access order history and just review what changes you have done. before starting a new order. So let's say I'm doing here and I'm just verifying this one. And I'm doing like, okay, so let's see. I've done this. Oh, look here. I've done changes, minimal changes. So I'm eating plastic on my patient. So I'm doing minus 50 and minus 50. So that's bad. Bad on my side. So minus 50 and minus 50. Okay. So if I'm gonna go and do changes on this patient on my left eye, so let's see, and I can go in here. I will start an order, and I can go and let's say I want to do changes on this one. I will go to Fit Exchange. I will continue here. I'm not doing changes on the on the optics. I do have my spherical power from before. I have my 1.75. I will go to continue, and then I'm going to start doing changes. And I can access again order history in here if I don't remember what I've done before. I go into order history again. I'm going to verify what I did. So I did meridian 1 and 3, 50. Okay, so let's say I want to do now, and I want to go 150 microns. So I'm taking those 50 microns that I steepen, and I'm just flattening 100 because I have to take those 50 microns that I steepen, and I'm just flattening 100 microns. So I'm just basically relieving 100 microns on that area. And if I'm just doing 50 microns in here, I'm leaving that as a standard because I'm just adding to the ones that I did before. So let's go and let's hit continue. And this will, like I was telling you, add to the one that I did before. So let's erase this because I don't want to actually do a change. So now let's do an order starting from zero. So let's start an order and let's do the fit kit. Let's do the left eye. I'm doing the standard. Let's select a new lens. So I have the ability to start from zero. Let's do the feed exchange again. I'm gonna start, but I'm doing that from zero. So I'm doing again the new fit. I have to actually check when that feed exchange expires. I do have the feed exchange date on. I'm just doing. I have the feeding expiration period here, and it's telling me it expires on September 2nd. So I have my date of expiration. So you can actually verify when your expiration date on your warranty ends. What happened? So yeah, there was a question. Understood, but can we make it in microns? Uh, okay, can we make it in microns? Yeah, you can actually verify the base curve changes in microns because it's actually telling you in microns. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do again another example in here and just tell you in microns what changes are we doing, okay? Let me just go back and do it. So let's go back and just do it again. And let's do the right one this time. Okay, so let's go start an order. Let's do the right. So let's do the feed exchange in here. So he was telling me about the base curve. So as you can see, we have the base curve. So if I change to 960 millimeters in base curve, here is actually telling me how many microns I'm changing within that change in millimeters. So I'm changing or I'm raising, and this change actually here that I'm seeing, I'm raising from here to the highest point, 266 microns. So if I'm increasing in here, this is directly in microns, 300 microns more that I'm raising in this position. So I'm getting 300 microns and 266 microns in here. So yeah, I'm getting the information in microns, but I'm changing here in millimeters. So this is actually calculating how much this is the affecting the change in microns. Okay. So I hope this is the answer you're looking for. So I'm just gonna hit continue, and then I'm just gonna erase this order. So if I want to make a replacement or just make an exact duplicate, but because this is another thing that uh, most likely change or um, let me see. Let me see here. Select a patient and let's say this one. Uh, so this one. So if you want to make an exact duplicate, but look here, no exchanges or cancellations are allowed. So if you select this one, the replacement pair, what will happen is that you're creating an exact duplicate of the last lens. So you're not allowed to make any changes within the design that you already fit. So anything that you want to alter, you can't. You are not able to do any changes to the last design that you have done. So your placing these do have a lesser value to you, a lesser cost to you, and that's on the price list that you have. So you need to check that out on the Spectrum list, price list that you have. So but you don't have any exchanges. So for your patient, if they come back and say like, I do need to, because I feel the lens a little bit funky, you need to actually purchase another lens or um, purchase another new lens with warranty, because these lenses doesn't have any warranty on these lenses. These are just a refill of the last lens. And basically, this is the FitConnect in a sense. You do have these tips. You can actually view the tips. You do have the dashboard overview. You have the support directory. You have a quick start guide. You can actually go into here and just check that out. You can search for patients in here. Again, this is basically again the a quick overview of the FitConnect. I do have a comment or two comments in here. His name is Firas. Firas Aljuba? No, Firas. No, Firas. Firas. Okay. Let me see. But I tried ordering both penetration and smart channels. It seems I can find smart channels. Certain that I can only see this. And does it, have you gotten the second lens, Jeff? Because I know they have sent, and again, the same thing. Please send those pictures, like detailed pictures, detailed pictures, like against the light from the slit lamp. Please do so. And if you want, like either Jeff or Bilal was saying, again, there's like that section, and I'm gonna do one more just for the sake of it. Let's do this one here. I'm gonna search my name again, and I'm gonna do a really quick one. And that's it. I'm just gonna run over. You can actually, and this is one last thing that I want to show you. You can actually, because Bilal was saying, how do we leave notes for notch or truncations, or Jeff was saying about fenestrations, or you can actually hold the order for review. You can actually leave your email. In this particular case, each and every one of your accounts has the email already registered, or you can actually leave the phone number. We'll most likely encourage you to leave the email. Uh, you can then leave here um, um, the notes. I know Bilal has already done this wonderful, and he has leave specific notes. Uh, Leave the notes of what you wish to do, and you can always attach images and videos. However, we encourage you to attach not more than three at a time. And because if you go more than three, most likely it won't upload more than three. So if you can just go three or less than three and just go like one, two at a time, I will suggest. And because you can upload as many as you can, but try to do less than three, and then we can just actually see what you're sending. And if you can send more than three, you can always send us files to sales at spctinternational.com. And you can actually tell us, I placed an order on FitConnect. I left it as hold for order review. Because if you leave it at hold for order review, then either me or Liliana, will actually look at it. And if there's something that we need to discuss with Boston site team, we actually will take a look with them, and we will discuss this and review the order with them. And we will most likely come to a conclusion and send you an email and say like, hey, probably we need to do this, and suggest something for you. So yeah. Um, but yeah, this is there for a reason. When you click here, this will actually go into a hold for order review section that we will check and review the order for you. So, do we have any more questions or comments? If we don't have, then I will close the meeting. I appreciate your time with me, and expect to see you soon.